you check your calendar, today is the 6th day in the month of March 2025. That means we've gone 6 days already into the month. Are you stock taking? Are you evaluating and assessing what you've done over the past 6 days? Well, not to put you under any pressure, just so you make good use of time. As I say, time waits for no one. I am Blessing Eichie. This is the FrontBurners, where we ignite conversations that will cause a change towards development. My co-hosts are here with me today and they're ready to serve you hot, as we always do on the show. Dr. Dausa Osamanze and Krumale are the best versions of themselves this morning. Good morning, sir.
Blessing, good morning. Priya, good morning. Good Nigeria out there. We're here again.
Oh, yes, we are.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, Priya.
Good morning to you, Dr. Dausa. It's good to be here again.
All right, without wasting time, let's get on with the first segment of the show, which is something you don't want to miss with Swift Adorinto. She's looking very gentle this morning. I don't know if it has anything to do with the commencement of Lent. Maybe she'll tell us. It is news analysis on the FrontBurners. Our first story we're looking at today is Nigeria joining the European Bank as the 77th shareholder. The federal government announced this, and it says it's a significant step that Nigeria officially joins the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, EBRD, paving the way for potential financial support and policy collaboration. This was announced by the finance minister. As he said, the membership will boost private sector growth and green investment, while EBRD President Odile Renaud Basso highlighted Nigeria's economic potential and the bank's role in fostering sustainable development. Should we say, well done, Nigeria, good one that you joined the Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Now, that association is supposed to enable Nigeria secure funds and also help in shaping policies that will result in economic development and help the construction sector in Nigeria. Doc.
Well, congratulations to Nigeria. We have the opportunity now to be a member of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. And just as the name suggests, there's a whole lot to reconstruct and develop around Nigeria. But let it just be that it will not be that another just enterprise of borrowing more money. That it could be just investments to also make return as an additional source of income to the country. Because we cannot but keep emphasizing excessive borrowing is not good, no matter what it is. Some basic infrastructure are basically social issues that are not likely to provide money. And like one will always argue is, if there's a need to borrow wisely and ensure that what you are putting in it is able to pay it back in a longer run. And I think that will just be the counsel for those who manage the economy. But being in the league of big boys is something that is good. You know, they said, tell me your friend and we can tell you the kind of person you are likely to be. If all the people who stick around you are billionaires, chances are that you're also a billionaire in the making. And I think that for me is what it is. Let's emulate Europe and see what they have done well. The best practices in terms of financing government projects and getting the best value for money. I hope we will learn all of this as we make this journey in the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development.
Well, sir, in order for Nigeria to secure fund, it has to be accepted. It requires formal acceptance by the majority of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development shareholders. So that will enable Nigeria to receive investment, receive funds, and also some policy advice. Do you worry regarding policy advice, being that this is not, or this will not be the first institution that would be offering that to Nigeria?
Okay, first of all, let's look at the core owners or runners of that particular bank, the European Union and the European Bank of Development, which is more like the central bank of the European Union countries. So there is a mandate that those banks are expected, to achieve. There's a mandate they've been given to achieve. And the purpose of that, of course, is to develop Europe and to make sure that policy direction favors Europe and the European countries. Nigeria coming into that space, I know, is only going to fit into the objective of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, which helps transitioning economies, to build, operate and participate in their open market system, because the country, equally, one of the conditions is that they must have an open economy, which specified that it's going to be, of course, a capitalist economy, and not entirely capitalist, and we practice mixed economy over here, and for the purpose of assisting entrepreneurial and private enterprise dealings in those countries. Of course, policy is there too. The thing about policy is, this is international and bilateral agreement or relationship that is going to be governed by that. So the policies are going to come. Nigeria itself needs to be tactical to make sure that, because when we talk about international trade, it's quite a complex thing to even achieve, even when countries come together and engage in it, because of the method of payment that should be used and the balance of payment, the import, the export, and the calculations of which might not give any country away. Every country is trying to protect themselves that, I don't want to operate in the negative balance of payment method. So who is going to be earning? What is going to go for what? And they are going to get those conditions from the International Chambers of Commerce, which sets out the objective and the conditions that both parties, the contract that both parties are bringing, is going to give a direct and a guiding light. But for Nigeria, I like the fact that we are in there. I know most persons or most people will be like, now that we are going in there, I know our objective there is not going to be like borrowing and all of that. When Nigeria finally becomes an operational destination, an operational state, like you spoke about, where we can start having physical investments, where the bank will come to Nigeria and to build the physical infrastructure, there's going to be lines. So since we've been talking about objective, the purpose of our borrowing, so what are the plans we have in place pending, because we applied for it since 2023. Now we are coming in 2025. So what are the plans we have in place for infrastructural development, most especially not just infrastructure development or in building infrastructure or buildings that will become a liability to the country, but that will serve as a form, a nexus, a connection to capital investment and capital development. Those are what we should be looking at. I'm glad that we are there, but as it continues to unfold, we'll begin to get a direction on where and what the government wants to do. The government has spoken about the $1 trillion economy. So how are we going to achieve that? Is this also part of the plan? Those are the questions we should be asking.
All right. The reason I asked you if you have any worries regarding the policy advisory that might be coming from the EBRD is what we're seeing regarding IMF and World Bank's advisory. So sometimes when there are policy initiatives from these multilateral institutions, it seems like the advice is based on a one-size-fits-all framework. And so because it's not adapted to the peculiarities in the Nigerian economy or the economies of some African countries, it doesn't seem really to work well in the African economy. And it's sometimes the suggestions are not even supposed to work independently. They are supposed to have complementary policies that will enable that initiative to work very well. But in implementation, we find that they run solely, and so the benefit or the intended benefit does not really come to bear. Now, this is a bank that assists countries' transition in investment through policy reform and other financial support. So if they're going to be assisting with policy reform, does a bank initiative or does a bank framework aligned with what Nigeria believes in. Now, they are currently working with Ukraine, and they're also looking at helping countries transition to greener economies, inclusive economies, and digital economies. On the side of a greener economy, what is Nigeria's vision towards that? Are we also looking at moving the way the West is moving? I understand that the president has said that Nigeria is not going to transition by 2030 like the world or like the West is currently planning to. Our vision as a country is to transition by 2065. So that gives us like a lot of time. But what are the plans so that there are no, because it's a bank where we also get benefits of financial support, those support don't come with attachments or restraints that makes us to begin to bring on reforms that is premature, or the Nigerian economy is premature for, and at the end of the day, it does not really favor us. It serves the West and not really Nigeria.
Well, two things. I also think I need to make some few clarification. In the whole of Africa, the only institutions that gather data regularly is the World Bank. And so most of the policy options that you find from World Bank are actually most time a reflection of what the internal economy is doing. It's not as if they are designing a program from America and then superimposing it in Nigeria. There's an active World Bank office in Nigeria, and that office is consistently and daily collecting data. They are on the field. Even we as a country, we don't have data. And that's why even most times our government refer to World Bank data as the source of their data for analysis and the rest of it. So most time, and I think from policy perspective, it's just the fact that in social sciences, you have different schools of thought. Some people feel something should be done this way. And what many development scholars have argued is the fact that do we need a bogus structure to survive? And being purely a market economy, you find that people are asking, if you're going to say you are asking for a facility, the bank who is giving you the facility also have the responsibility to defend a depositor's fund, because the money does not belong to World Bank. This money belongs to sovereign government. So when they are giving you this money, what is at the back of their mind is your ability to be able to pay back. And you can't say, okay, give me money to go and marry wife. Later, I will go and start farm, and then I'll pay back. World Bank will tell you that won't work. We want to see the farm first. So let the farm produce the money you are going to use to marry wife. And most of the time, is the frivolities that is in the Africa that's actually conditioning the kind of policy suggestions that come from some of these multilateral institutions. But coming back to European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and that's why in my initial remark I just said that let it not be just we're joining this bank because we want to borrow money. And I think it should be much more than looking for funds to borrow. Yes, we'll find money to borrow, and it will be maybe at a single digit, being member of the board, because the board sits down to determine the feasibility of giving a loan to anybody. But most importantly is to also understand that this is a business venture that 77 entities are involved in, and they are looking out for market to see where they can put money, and then of course make profit from those money, which at the end of the year is shared as dividend to member country. So for me, it is the dividend part of it that is quite interesting, that while we are putting money in here, it becomes like a source of revenue for the country, and not another source or a drain pipe, which will have to be servicing over the years. And I think as a country, there's so much that nature has endowed us with that we would need to put energy in developing rather than wholesale cap in hand looking forward to borrow money to do development projects. There are things that we can do in the immediate that can give us that leverage so that we don't need to necessarily have to borrow and see this as an investment opportunity, not just because we want to borrow money and then we rush to go and join a European bank for reconstruction and development.
All right, let's leave that and wait to see the gains or benefits that will come from that. We're hoping that Nigeria is able to explore the right benefits from joining the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development.